This is part 3 of day 1 of the John Skelton preliminary exam. Skelton is accused of murdering his 3 sons in 2010, and this is a mini trial essentially in the state of Michigan to determine whether he should go to trial for those charges. So in the first parts, we talked about the boy's mother, Tanya Zuvers, and her testimony today. So now in part 3, I'm going to try to wrap up the entirety of Pastor Donna Galloway's testimony. So it's very clear that the prosecution wants us to see that Pastor Galloway had a special relationship with these boys, that she was close to his family, particularly Tanya and the boys. She recounts starting at their church in June of 2010, and the boys saw a car in her driveway one day, and this is when she met them. She was sitting down taking a break, and she starts to get emotional in retelling this, and the boys came up and introduced themselves and asked if there's anything they can do to help her move in. And now these boys are 5, 7, and 9 because this is just a few months before they disappeared. She said, "I don't have anything you can help me with now, but maybe another day." And then Alex asked if she was going to have Vacation Bible School, and they really liked Vacation Bible School. So she said, "Yeah, we can do that." And then he said, "Tomorrow?" And so everybody got a laugh out of that, and then they showed her where they lived. So they went home and apparently told Tanya all about this interaction, especially about VBS. And she said that they were involved in the church. She came to know them from events. The boys sat and watched. She had this trick of blowing up balloons with her nose. So they really thought, she said, that she was special for being able to do that. So she starts to find out details about marital troubles around September, October from Tanya's mother. She said she organized help for the family, but she didn't have marriage counseling experience. The boys, especially Alex, memorized Bible verses, and then she realized that Alex was memorizing them in order to help his brothers. So this really gives us a good idea of the heart that these boys have, and this is why she's telling us these stories. So she was going to be somewhere else for Thanksgiving. She came home on Friday and learned that John had not returned the kids. So she went directly to Don and Bev's house, who are Tanya's parents, because she was close with Bev especially. She learned that John was in the hospital but didn't know where or why initially, and that Tanya was too stressed to be talking to John at this time. So Donna talked to him. He asked to talk to Tanya, and Donna told him Tanya was upset, and he said, "Well, what's the problem?" And Donna said, "Well, we need to know where the boys are. If you tell us, this will fix everything." And he said he didn't know, and she said that it evolved into a bunch of different stories, and he could talk to her, Tanya, if he would tell her what is going on. So this has to be frustrating for her because she's detailing all these different stories. He said they went home. I don't know what the problem is. Then he said someone else had them, and there was a point he couldn't remember what happened to them. So she said each time they talked, it got more confused. At some point, he mentions Joanne, but said he didn't know her. He said she was a friend and that Joanne came to get the boys. So there was an objection here. Leading the witness, there was a sidebar. So we come back, and she continues to describe what John said was the relationship with Joanne and where she could find Joanne's phone number in the house. He said they should be back already before 5 o'clock. He said he was not being cared for in the hospital and that he didn't know why Tanya was being mean to him. So Pastor Donna goes to the hospital to pray with him that same day, hoping that she's going to get him through prayer to tell her where the boys are. This was after visiting hours, not a whole lot before midnight, she said. A police officer was there. She told John, "Let's pray together, let's pray for the boys," and she wants John to know that he can trust her to tell her where the boys are. She said she saw the love that John had for the boys and told him that. She said that he was emotional this entire time, but more about his foot hurting and the pain that he had from his alleged suicide attempt rather than looking for these boys or any concern about the boys being missing. So this brings about an objection because the attorney says she's not qualified to be looking into his state of mind and determining what it is that he's feeling or anything. She can just say what he is saying. So that was overruled. He said, "Can Tanya ever love me again?" She said, "I don't know that she doesn't still love you, but you have to tell her where the boys are." And he just didn't understand that the boys were the focus. He was focused on himself and Tanya's reactions, not on the boys. She called it mental gymnastics. He said, "Trust me, they're safe," but where and from what, she didn't know. So John calls Tanya again the next day, the 27th, and they're at the police command center. Tanya refuses to take this. The pastor gets emotional. The FBI agent is nearby. And John again says to the pastor, "Why is Tanya not talking to me?" And she says, "She will talk to you if you tell her where the boys are." Donna says she's only thinking about the boys. She wants them home and they're not home. This is where things get very emotional in the courtroom. This is Donna. She says, "He said to me, 'Pastor Donna, you of all people should understand what I mean when I say they are home.' She said she just slid down the wall and sat on the floor. He hung up. I didn't hang up. He hung up. She said, I knew we were not going to get a phone call from Andrew saying, 'Hey, got dropped off here and this is where we're at.' I knew Alex wasn't going to figure out some way to get from wherever they were to home. And I knew that Andrew was standing and Tanner and Alex and Andrew had their arms around each other and they were saying they're going to be okay." So the prosecution tomorrow needs to finish up with Pastor Donna. Then there will be cross-examination, and then there will be redirect, and then the judge is allowing a recross. So maybe we'll be through Pastor Donna by midday tomorrow. There were a couple interesting things that happened in the court. I like to give you the observations as well as, the straight facts of what's being said. But it was interesting because at one point the defense attorney stopped what he was saying and glared at Lieutenant Jeremy Brewer of Michigan State Police, who, as we know, the lead investigator sits at the prosecution table during these things. And he says something like, "Are you okay? It looks like you're staring me down." We all kind of looked at each other. I mean, there wasn't even a jury in the courtroom. So I thought it was a little performative to do when just a judge is deciding the future of this case at this point, but that's just my opinion. That's something that you would typically see in a full courtroom with a jury present that an attorney would try to get away with. So at that point, the judge says, "We're not going to really be doing sidebars here, so if you have something you need me to address, I will address it." Boom. I've also watched a lot of trials and covered a lot of trials. And, I think there is something to be said for showing a little compassion for someone who is the victim of the crime, which in this case is Tanya. And a defense attorney has a very, very, very important job, particularly as we've seen in cases where the wrong person may be accused. Or, look at the Lindsay Clancy case right now, or the Karen Reed case, where things are really, really in question. Those are the cases that I really see the value of a defense attorney. But I also think that a good defense attorney can successfully question a witness who happens to be the victim of a crime and do it with respect and compassion and an appropriate tone. And I don't think that jurors are fond of, going after a victim of a crime in such a way. So I thought it was a little rough around the edges there today. We'll see how he questions the pastor tomorrow. But that's just my observation as also a court observer today.